Everything's all shuffled and we are ready to go. This is the last one for today, but I figure if I do commit to 4 days a week and get 3 at a time, we can get them all done. I need to get caught up for you guys. I've been slacking the last couple months. I got sick. I had the COVID. Yeah, I said a word. The plague. I had the plague. All right, let's take a look and see. They said it wasn't, but I had every symptom. I'm telling you, it was the devil. Anyways, much better now. This week I haven't been taking naps, so it's all good. Okay, let's take a look and see what you got going on, Libra. Here we go. 7 of Swords, a release of tension, the Hierophant. Starting to take a look at what's driving you, right? I'm seeing a possible move for you or some changes that are going on, a little bit of moderate change. 7 of Coins having to do with your money. I see you trying to keep your circle small, not wanting to really allow people in, and you're wanting to be a little more social, but you're keeping it kind of close to the chest a little bit. Interesting, I'm seeing a couple little notes here about returning to some education. Hi, Alicia, what's up? So I'm seeing the Page of Wands, and that's like some education that you feel like you want to take on to yourself. But here's the thing, you have this indecision going on, and you know what's funny is there's themes to this, and that's kind of like when I first began this, I didn't know how it would be possible for me to do, you know, the zodiac sign because I wasn't an astrologer at the time. I'm still not an astrologer. I study it fervently though. I want to say daily. Listening to Q Savasa of Nightlight Astrology on YouTube. I would highly encourage anyone that's interested in astrology as a beginner to join him. And I'm not saying that he's a beginner in any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying that he is so cerebral and he's not excitable. He's very much explanatory and loving and descriptive, and he allows questions, and you know, he does a lot of work where he gets you to see what it looks like to break down a natal chart, what it looks like to do horary charting, which is questions and predictive. So if you listen to it enough, you'll start to pick up the terminology so you can keep up, and that's kind of what inspired me to teach a little Tarot 101 or intro to astrology, so you can use these tools and kind of use them as like your weather report, right? But anyways, I'm seeing this indecision with you, this 2 of Wands, where you feel like not 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but this is feeling like you've got opinions coming from all over the place and you're not sure which one is the voice of reason, so to speak. We have the 5 of Cups, and I always call this one a little bit like pragmatism. This isn't exactly like the sky is falling, but you've done this before. You've had people in front of you where you're like, yeah, I don't know, I've heard this story before. Anybody dealt with a narcissist, and then you hear somebody do dream building where they're like, we're gonna this and we're gonna that, and you're like, that sounds like a load of bullshit to me. And what ends up happening is you're like, all right, we'll just wait and see what you do with this, but it sounds like a bunch of hype to me, right? So you're trying to vet the hype. You have the High Priestess in play, and that's telling us that I'm going to do Taurus, not tonight. So let's see where we sit with that. I'll get back to that in a second. I did Taurus a couple weeks ago. It's going to be about a week before I get to them, or a couple days anyways. But I'm seeing the Magician. So the Magician in play, along with the World card and the High Priestess, is you have this inkling that it's go time, and that you're feeling like you're at the starting gate. I was just talking about this yesterday with Nikki. Hi, Nikki. And I was feeling as if, you know, it's go time. So there's this intensity to all our decision making where we feel we have to make these decisions now. So you don't have the Hangman or anything, but you're definitely going to be feeling some emotions coming up, indicated by the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups is telling us that there's emotions under the surface, okay, where you're feeling as if there's some turmoil underneath the surface and you're not quite able to put your finger on it. But I can tell you, you know, with the High Priestess in play, what that tells us is that you should be listening to your instincts. Now, here's the thing. People are like, well, I was wrong before. Okay, you might have been wrong about the details because it takes practice for this shit, guys. Yes, it can be taught. I promise you. Just like math. I can't do trigonometry. I bet I could if I worked at it. Just like my paramedic math. Drip rates, kilograms and pounds, you know, milliliters to milligrams. There was a lot of math, and I was so afraid of hurting someone with mistaken numbers that I studied it so that I could do it in my head, right? So I'm not good with math, and I'm not good with electronics, but I damn well know how to run certain social media platforms and use my machine to my benefit. So yes, these things can be learned. It takes practice, and it's a counterintuitive mechanism. You have to allow these things in such a way, there's no way to control them, right? You can use them, and you can allow them, and you can definitely build that muscle of your third eye and do these things, but trusting your instincts. So for example, I feel like my husband's up to something, okay? And then you just kind of know that he's being sneaky and something's off, and then you jump his case, and next thing you know, he's planning a birthday party, or it wasn't what you thought, or maybe he was hiding something, but it wasn't a big deal. So you feel that these things are off. Your feelings are the gateway to this, right, guys? So you have this high priestess, and our emotions are not logical. They don't make any sense. Our programs that run us don't make any sense. You made a decision at 5 that all dogs are bad because this mean dog barked at you, and now you're afraid of dogs, right? So you got to really look at what's driving it, and just because it's that sensation of unease doesn't mean it's always triggering these other like timelines. So when you have your high priestess in play, and you have your instincts that are coming up, and you're feeling as if there's this urgency and this go time where you feel like it's time to go now, that is the impulse of the universe. It's like even the Schumann resonance is going up. I'm going to go so sideways on this, sorry. But it's like we have this energy that's going, and it's like this locomotive that's kicking in, and we don't really have a lot of understanding of what that is nowadays. We don't have those machines, but it's like there's this power that's going on under the surface, and you can sense it. And so you're like, there's something that I have to do, which causes urgency. But just remember that the first card that came up with for you was the 7 of Swords, which is that energy about the bubble breaking or the storm ending. And so I want you to start looking for those signs and come from gratitude and looking at things that are getting easier. The pressure is going to release a little bit for you. So I'm going to pull some cards for you from Mystic Dreamer for your moon reading. And as I shuffle that, let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing. Wednesday, 8 p.m. this next coming week will be the start of my Tarot 101 class. I'm doing it in live, in-person sessions. So for those of you that are local, want to join in that, you can. So that'll be starting on Monday. If you can't make the first class, it's going to be broadcast live on Zoom so people can get that time in. And it is broken down into payment plans if you want to do that. Speaking of payment plans, the spiritual mentorship mystery school, where you get to learn a little astrology, meditation techniques, tarot, and Reiki for your personal use. A little bit of a beginning of each so you know what you want to dive into and have any questions answered. That has been, 1 month wasn't enough, so I set it up so that you can do it as a monthly payment. And you can continue for as many months as you want instead of going to the entire 1-year program, 6-month program, okay? Or 3 months. This way you can begin, and if you like it, you can stay the next month, because I'm already getting the people that are in the class going, I want more. So it is set up so you can do it like a subscription until you feel like you're done, okay? And that's on karmaondeck.com. Now let's move into the Libra moon reading. So this deck has a tendency to talk about interpersonal relationships and our emotions. First thing that comes up for you, Libra, is the 9 of Wands. That talks to us about fatigue. You're tired of doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. Let's call that insanity. But mostly it's fatigue. It's like, I'm doing the same thing every day and I'm tired. Here's the thing. Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands, the Devil. We have the 4 of Swords, which is you're not telling anyone. You're not letting anybody in on how you feel overburdened right now. Again, victiming. 10 of Wands. Feeling like you have too much on your back. But congruency between your general spread and your moon reading is the 6 of Swords. So the 6 of Swords is our card for things getting easier. I want you to imagine coming down a rapids on a boat, and your little rowboat thing, whatever, canoe, and you're coming down the river. Shut up. You're coming down the river and it's chaotic and you're like, and then boom, you come out onto a clear lake, nice and easy, and you can kind of pull along. I want you to think of that energy of like plane of glass, okay? So things are going to get easier. This is showing up in your moon reading. So even though you're thinking wildly, and again, 2 of Pentacles. So look at these congruencies, okay? 10 of Wands, feeling like a victim. Things are fun. Now we are victims to things that happen. And sometimes we're wilding out and don't pay attention to the signs and they happen and we're like, I should have known. But don't beat yourself up about that. 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands. I did what I could. Again, Page of Pentacles, talking about being impulsive with money or having to start over in some ways. You got a match set, King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles. You're both nurturing with your money and you're going out to get your money. So you're making sure that you're coming at both of these kinds of ways to navigate money and play with it appropriately. You do have the Devil card next to the Queen of Wands. And let's talk about the Devil card for just a minute. It's not bad. It's not evil. It's not telling us bad magic is going on, though it is the indicator if someone should ask that that is actually going on. Yet any practitioner that I know isn't going to waste their time on anyone else. And, most of the time They don't go that far. It's usually like a banishing or a freeze thing, like leave me alone. But for the most part, it's not a common thing, right? So the devil card doesn't play that way anymore. The devil card's about where your conflict is, and that has to do with our addictions. It could be substances. So are you using escapism right now? Are you diving into substances so you don't have to pay attention to this feeling helpless against things that are going on around you, right? So the devil card can actually mean that someone is lying to you, and it does mean that there's conflict that could be happening. But it's also indicating that there's things that are holding you back, right? If you think of the devil card as the thing that I have to do, the should, right? Don't should yourself, don't shit on yourself, don't should yourself. So the devil card has to do with, let's say you're Catholic and your partner's not, and you want to get married, but the church says no, it's not legitimate or recognized until they're both Catholic marriage. Or if you're a certain demographic or religion, LDS in my community, where it's like you're kind of raging against the machine, so to speak, or the structure and questioning it. And it's the things that hold you back. This could be even, age-wise, I'm not old enough to do things, or, and this also has to do with our bad habits. So what are your bad habits? Is it watching too much TV? I've been in that loop lately, and I hate TV. I despise it. I only have one. And yet I got sick, and so what did I do? I brought the TV in my room so I could zone out and have something to entertain my brain that was feeling restless. And when I started to finally feel better, right? And so then I got in these loops and, I have to finish this, right? So the devil card could be substances, alcohol, marijuana, prescription pills, anything alcohol, like that keeps you in this little dependency of some kind, pornography. It's all of those things that can be conflicting. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's you that's engaging in these activities. It could be someone that you're in a relationship that's a conflict, because I'm seeing the Knight of Wands, which is an apology. Apologies are great, but is it followed by good behavior, right? So we also see this here, this Four of Swords, which is silence. So I'm seeing you like keeping silent about some of these things. Secrets don't make friends. That's what my daughter used to say when we would whisper. So Queen of Wands, which tells me that you're keeping things superficial to others, and you're worried about what things look like. And you're trying to match some of these things up with your traditional values or your more traditional ideal of what you want things to look like. Cautionary note here is, if you have this Four of Swords and you're not telling people what's going on, don't get yourself in the loop of feeling isolated. What happens when we're not talking to the people that love us, or the fact that we don't have people around us that are supportive, is that we begin to feel isolated. So don't let that slip into depression. Talk to someone. I think, when we start feeling hopeless, I remember someone recently, today actually, was saying how they had a depressed moment. And he goes, don't worry, I wasn't taking action or anything, but I was feeling really depressed. And it reminded me of a moment where I was at a point where I needed to do a cleanse of my house, and I had opened myself at night, and I saw suicidal ideation. I saw visions and images of people sitting in the bathroom and sobbing and thinking of making a decision. Someone cleaning their gun and thinking about what they would do with it. Someone else going in their garage and looking at the structure. Literal decision making of suicidal ideation. And I got up and I'm like, no, not today. And I saged and salted, and I knew that wasn't congruent with like how my brain operates. So I knew it was like coming in energy, like I was receiving this. And so my very next live was about like hope and how to navigate these things and ways to get through depression. Depressive phases happen to all of us, situational depression and chemical depression. If you have depression or you're feeling hopeless, take one thing. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's that laundry that's climbing up your ass and you're like, oh my God, like for me, when I was sick, 8 weeks, everything I owned was somewhere in a basket. And it kind of rode me for a few weeks until I finally said, okay, today I'm going to get that done. It made me feel so much better. Even if it's just getting up and taking a shower, washing your sheets, doing your makeup, doing your hair, making yourself feel presentable. That is one little thing is enough. It's often enough to just break that cycle a little bit. Okay. So, or talk about it a little. I've just been feeling frustrated and I'm feeling hopeless. Talk to someone about it, because maybe it's just a current energy that's going on, and you can shake it by talking about it. So don't be afraid. It's not something to be ashamed of. Okay. And it's fearful, right? But with the Queen of Wands in play, it talks to us about keeping an image up of what we want people to see us as. So make sure that you're not chasing an image that someone else designed for you. Is this I live in an LDS community, and it's, covering of the body and being humble and meek and subtle instead of being bold and outward. So sometimes, image can be what other people make up of it. I'm going to pull a card for you from Divination of the Ancients and see what your message is for this week. And then we're going to wrap this up for the day and see what stands. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And patience, geomancy. So this card, I love that it has dominoes or whatever looking like in the background with these dots. Geomancy, that has to do with patience. So breathe through the pauses, guys. Breathe through the pauses, because here's what's true. There are cycles to everything. I want to thank you for hanging out with me, and remember the message that I always say, love is the answer to every question. I mean it. If you can find love in a situation, that